While it is true the 90s were glutted with genres of various kinds, making the time period particularly exciting and popular, if you ask us, nothing could ever beat the saucy thrillers. The 90s were a wild time, and just in case we still have not been able to be explicit enough to you, we are strictly talking about the category of movies that blend in elements of sex, psychological horror, and vehemence into one sweltering vessel of hopeless terror. This brings us to the main contents of today's video, which is particularly for those who are drawn to the mystery, tension, obsession, and seductive crime-led storylines that make up erotic thrillers. Here's taking a look at 13 of the most explicit thrillers from the 90s. But before we get into our explanation, we do have a very small request. If you enjoy our content, then please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Now, let's begin. Disclosure, 1994. Based on Michael Crichton's novel, also titled Disclosure, Barry Levinson's steamy erotic thriller has Michael Douglas and Demi Moore in their favorite roles of complex characters. Douglas essays the role of a computer specialist who gets sued by his former lover and now new boss, played by the sultry Demi Moore. While it does turn out that she was the one who sexually harassed him during a business meeting, no one seems to believe that. It is up to Douglas's Tom Sanders to do his very best to prove his innocence, or watch his life fall apart and lose everything in the process. With Disclosure, not only did Levinson do an exceptional job of bringing Crichton's novel to life, but he also brought together the genre's two biggest stars, Douglas and Moore. The screenplay by Paul Atancio is gripping, given its unforeseen twists and turns, and Ennio Morricone's background score makes the film all the more exciting. Moore's raw magnetism and that face, of course, works wonders in favor of the movie here. In fact, her character on display showcases that a woman in power can be every bit as abusive as a man. It is safe to say that Disclosure is a very tense thriller featuring two incredible performances from the leads. The movie will actually make you feel for Douglas and what he is going through, and you would want things to turn out well for him at the end of the day. The Last Seduction, 1994. John Dahl's neo-noir erotic thriller features Linda Fiorentino as a devious, scorned housewife who runs away from her abusive husband with a huge sum of money. En route to Chicago, she stops in a small town where she ends up seducing a local man, manipulating him to fall for her. Of course, the local guy does not realize that he is nothing but a perfect dupe for her next scheme, with Fiorentino's Bridget strategically involving her new lover in a diabolical scheme, which, no points for guessing, happens to be getting rid of her own husband. What remains to be seen is if she will be the last woman standing. First things first, the film has Linda Fiorentino delivering a powerhouse performance with her exceptional acting. Fiorentino is wickedly intelligent here, and while there have been many films revolving around women who resort to sensuality and seduction to serve their purposes, The Last Seduction conclusively shows the actor as one of the most perverse female minds to have been featured. No wonder the film gained a huge cult following, and Fiorentino's Bridget Gregory has been recognized as one of the most popular femme fatales in film history, and for that, we have Steve Baranik's well-written screenplay and Dahl's intelligent direction to give full credits to.
I threw my life away for you! Hey, what are you...
Body of Evidence, 1993. If you call yourself a fan of Paul Verhoeven's Basic Instinct, then you have every reason to give Uli Edel's Body of Evidence a definite watch. In fact, many firmly believe that Edel's erotic thriller film is nothing but an open attempt to cash in on the success of the 1992 neo-noir erotic thriller Basic Instinct. In Body of Evidence, we have Madonna playing the role of Rebecca Carlson, a woman who has been accused of killing her elderly lover, the wealthy Portland resident Andrew Marsh, all in the hopes of laying her hands on the $8 million that Marsh had kept for her in his will. While Body of Evidence is not exactly mind-blowing in terms of its screenplay, it is no big deal because Madonna looks ravishingly hot in this movie. In fact, she is at her sexiest here, and there is no denying that. Next comes the passion on display between Madonna and Willem Dafoe, which will certainly leave fans of the genre satiated to a whole new level, given that the duo flashes plenty in the way of flesh. As the plotline thickens, so do their sadomasochistic encounters, and with Graham Revell's sensual musical score in the background, you, as the viewer, get to treat yourself to a sinful delight. So, if you call yourself a fan of Madonna and still have not watched Body of Evidence, what exactly are you waiting for? Cruel Intentions, 1999. In case you did not know, Roger Kumble's Cruel Intentions happens to be a modern retelling of Pierre Chodelot de Lacau's French epistolary novel Les Liaisons Dangereuses. A cult classic since its very release, this diabolically beguiling tale of seduction and betrayal has Sarah Michelle Gellar and Ryan Philippe in the roles of two exceedingly rich, manipulative teen step-siblings, Catherine and Sebastian, who willingly engage themselves in a diabolical wager of sexual conquest. If Sebastian wins the bet, he gets to spend a night of unbridled pleasure with his stepsister, and if Catherine succeeds, she gets to have her stepbrother's vintage car. Backed by a screenplay, also by Kumble, Cruel Intentions gives a sensual twist to the stereotypical teen romantic drama. The high points of the film have to be the well-chosen star-studded cast and each of their memorable, impressive performances. Sarah Michelle Gellar is worthy of special mention here because she is simply outstanding in her role as Catherine Murtoil. Gellar brilliantly shows that she can be as seductive and sexual as one can imagine without actually taking off her clothes. Riddled with jealousy, manipulation, deception, and chaotic relationships among the wealthy New York City teenagers, Cruel Intentions is as scandalous and sensual as a teen romantic drama can ever be. Poison Ivy, 1992. Imagine someone beautiful to look at but simply deadly to the touch. Well, that's Ivy for you. In case you did not know this, Kat Shea's Drew Barrymore star erotic thriller is actually based on the real-life experience of producer Melissa Goddard. Apparently, Goddard had a friend stay with her family only to have her seduce her stepfather in due course. Anyway, coming back to the narrative of Poison Ivy, it follows the eponymous Ivy, one who happens to be a troubled and highly seductive teenager befriending the alienated and misanthropic Sylvie Cooper. What initially starts as a friendship quickly becomes a fatal attraction, and things escalate when Ivy schemes her way into the lives of the Cooper family. Well, you are looking at a flick that is filled with suspense and tension, and somehow the thriller only manages to become darker as the storyline progresses. Drew Barrymore delivers a breakthrough performance, and given her troubled childhood, she is simply ideal for the role of Ivy. Well, it is only fair to state that Barrymore completely steals the film with her intoxicating, sensual presence, and dare we disregard her bewitching personality. Next, we have David Michael Frank's pulsating background score and Faden Papa Michael's evocative cinematography, which make Poison Ivy even more wickedly erotic. Boasting a runtime of 88 exciting minutes, Shea's erotic thriller will have you completely glued to the screen from the very first scene. Don't believe us? Just watch this kinky spellbinder for yourself. Basic Instinct, 1992. Paul Verhoeven's memorable effort, which is backed by an intriguing screenplay by Joe Esterhaus, is remembered to this very day for two primary things. While the first thing categorically happens to be Sharon Stone, the second thing happens to be Stone crossing her legs as Catherine Trammell during a rather unforgettable police interrogation. Story-wise, we have Stone as the seductive and manipulative crime novelist, who becomes the prime suspect in the murder case of a retired rock star. When the case gets assigned to homicide detective Nick Curran, he finds himself getting entangled in a perilous game of lust and deception. Arguably, one of the most controversial and talked about neo-noir erotic thriller films of the 90s, Basic Instinct categorically pushes the very boundaries of its era, given its explicit nature and the intriguing murder mystery on display. The highly sensual and erotic contents of this riveting psychological thriller with Stone and Michael Douglas as an impressive lead keep the viewers on the very edge of their seats, making one constantly wonder what is going to take place next. Mind you, the climax, which is more like an open ending, will leave you speechless, and those of you who have seen the movie are bound to agree with us on this. Also, we find it pretty hard to believe that one is yet to see this stylishly filmed, brilliantly directed, and perfectly paced movie, otherwise known as Basic Instinct. Indecent Proposal, 1993. Imagine that you got married to your high school sweetheart, and a few years down the line, you find yourself struggling financially alongside your husband. Now, enter a millionaire who offers you $1 million in exchange for a night with him. Of course. What would you and your husband do? Would you be willing to put your love to the ultimate test? Well, this is exactly the plotline of Adrian Lyne's erotic drama film, one that is based on Jack Engelhardt's movie, also of the same name. Boasting a screenplay by Amy Holden Jones, Indecent Proposal has Demi Moore and Woody Harrelson in the roles of the happily married couple, and the dashing Robert Redford in the role of the debonair millionaire. Mark our words when we say that Indecent Proposal did not require a femme fatale lead to become a box office success. All it did take was for Lyne to return to his steamy roots and add to this an exceptionally brilliant performance from its leading characters. Like it or not, the film was bold enough to ask some rather unsettling questions, not only about the price and value of human beings, but also about the strength of one's relationship. The thought-provoking narrative tested the very theory that money can buy anything and anyone, further showing the extent to which people are willing to go to lay their hands on financial gains. Also, witnessing Moore in the role of Diana Murphy was a real treat to the eyes. No wonder she was literally at the peak of her beauty back then. For a film that was released back in 1993, it has aged pretty well, all thanks to Howard Atherton's ultra-glossy cinematography and John Barry's remarkable background score. Jade, 1995. Written by Joe Esterhaus and directed by William Friedkin, Jade has David Caruso in the role of Assistant District Attorney David Corelli, who is seen investigating a grisly hatchet murder of a renowned businessman. With Corelli probing deeper into the case, he finds himself drawn to a mysterious woman who goes by the name of Jade. It is also around the same time that Corelli uncovers a web of secrets, blackmail, and prostitution, and somehow all the evidence points towards the woman Corelli is still in love with. Friedkin's Jade might not be hailed as his best work, given the negative reviews, but it continues to remain a thrilling, kinky, and unsettling ride to this very day, standing almost shoulder to shoulder with Verhoeven's Basic Instinct. Many have also addressed the movie as the most provocative thriller of 1995, for which we solely have Linda Fiorentino and David Caruso to thank. With the flick's primary focus on the dark aspects of the characters' lives, Jade weaves an enticing web of sensuality, mystery, and murder. The editing by Augie Hess, musical score by James Horner, and cinematography by Andrzej Bartkowiak are top-notch. Jade has enough strong, aberrant sexual content, graphic violence, and gore to keep it from ever becoming boring. Never Talk to Strangers, 1995. Helmed by Peter Hall, this psychological erotic thriller has Rebecca De Mornay playing the unapproachable Dr. Sarah Taylor, a criminal psychologist by profession, and Antonio Banderas as a surveillance consultant. With the leading characters running into each other, they eventually begin a torrid affair. However, this sets off a disturbing chain of events, one after the other, making Sarah finding it extremely hard to trust Antonio's Tony Ramirez. Believe us when we tell you that Never Talk to Strangers has the power to captivate you minutes after you start watching it. The witty screenplay by Lewis Green and Jordan Rush is bound to throw you off, given the surprisingly good twists, most of which are highly unpredictable. Then comes De Mornay's stellar acting. Not only has she played her role to perfection, but she is also so believable both as a victim and a villain. There is this constant tension between her character and that of Banderas, which is not only sexual but also quite mysterious, and you can't help yourself but get drawn to their world of attraction and constant temptation. Add to this a stunning work of cinematography by Elamir Regalaye to keep the element of surprise intact, and an assorted background score by Pino Donaggio, and you have a saucy thriller to treat yourself to.
Oh, you tricked me.
Hold on. I think I can reach her. Please, Doctor.
You're in it.
Final Analysis, 1992. There is no denying that Phil Joanno's Final Analysis is a noteworthy addition to the erotic thriller genre. Boasting a star-studded cast, this neo-noir erotic thriller with Richard Gere and Kim Basinger in the lead has a psychiatrist indulging himself in an affair with the sister of one of his troubled patients, only to realize that she is a brilliant, premeditated killer, which looks like the outcome of a nightmarish upbringing and an abusive marriage. But then again, there is also a high possibility that she is just a sociopathic, manipulative chameleon who will literally go to any extent to do what it takes to survive at the end of the day. We are looking at a screenplay that is not only original, but also psychologically very clever, featuring an ending that you just did not see coming. From the credible performance of the solid cast to the brilliant cinematography work of Jordan Cronenworth, this twisted, glossy, complex thriller delves into the very themes of love, obsession, and betrayal. Basinger is absolutely mesmerizing here. Not only does she look drop-dead gorgeous, but it is also her chemistry with Gere that fits like a glove. As far as one is concerned about Uma Thurman, she is a natural, and there are no second thoughts about it. So if you are in a mood for a flavorsome spread of suspense and uncertainty with copious amounts of all things twisted, do not hesitate to give this underrated gem a shot. Wild Things, 1998. John McNaughton's Wild Things is just as wild as its title. Written by Stephen Peters, this erotic thriller follows a high school guidance counselor accused of rape by a wealthy student and her outcast classmate. As the detective on the case begins to have his doubts on the trio and believes it to be some kind of elaborate scam, he probes deeper into the scheming labyrinth of greed and betrayal to find the truth. Truth be told, Wild Things is a great example of what can be accomplished by not worrying about the substance and simply making film for sheer amusement. No wonder McNaughton was blessed to have good-looking stars, beautiful locations, and a horde of plot twists at his disposal. If you ask us, the director was smart enough to not disclose the true nature of his film at the beginning. He made great use of time by luring the audience into a false sense of security and ensuring that every twist came as a surprise. Brownie points to you if you are not particularly a twist spotter, but are still into films packed to the brim with twists. As for the intricate plotline on display, it will keep you guessing things till the very end. What obviously works wonders for Wild Things is the main cast. Kevin Bacon, Matt Dillon, Neve Campbell, and Denise Richards, in particular, were the perfect choice. And to be fair, no one is watching Denise Richards act here, so one can only expect her to get as wild as possible. Single White Female, 1992. Barbet Schroeder's psychological erotic thriller, which is based on John Lutz's 1990 thriller novel SWF Seeks Same, follows a young woman named Allison Jones, who is on the lookout for a new roommate. A quick peek into Allison's past reveals that she has recently broken off her engagement after discovering her boyfriend's infidelity. Anyway, the new roommate turns out to be Hedra Carlson, and the two, in due course, become good friends. However, it soon becomes very clear that Hedra is obsessed with Allison on an entirely different level, and her psychotic behavior gives terror an all-new definition. While the premise of a psychologically disturbed female character is a very common thing in erotic thrillers, Schroeder deserves a special commendation for giving it a refreshing spin. The reason why Single White Female ultimately became a cult film in the subsequent years after its release is primarily because of Jennifer Jason Leigh. She is seen channeling major Catherine Tremell vibes, the latter's bisexuality in particular, and fans of the film know exactly what we are talking about. It is only fair to state that Leigh is fantastic in the role of an increasingly obsessive roommate, and you as the viewer will enjoy getting sucked into this deep psychological erotic thriller, one that is enhanced by Luciano Tovoli's wonderful cinematography and Howard Shore's perfect background score. Marvelous verdict. Well, that is all for today, and with this, we finally come to the end of our video here. So which of these explicit thrillers from the 90s are your favorites? We would love to know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Also, the ones mentioned in the list absolutely deserve your time and attention. Now, if you enjoy this video, you know what to do. Please do leave a thumbs up and stay tuned with us as we promise to come back with more exciting content. Till then, goodbye and thanks for watching. Have a good one and stay safe out there.